All right, you should be okay.
Okay, everybody, I'd like to open the Personnel Committee meeting. Do we have any courtesy of the floor comments? Hearing
If
and
you
seeing
have
none.
One.
Oh, Mr. Cusick, I apologize.
Okay, a couple things. At the last Human Services Committee meeting, we heard from Gracedale administration that while there were 150 empty beds and 240 vacant positions, that everything was going swell. Since that time, and that came up, I've had several employees reach out to me. Now, if they're reaching out to me, that tells you something. Concerning the overuse, misuse of mandates and mandation. And as we've seen before, typically mandation is a result of failure to fill vacant positions. We saw this particularly at the jail. Now, to their credit, when it came to the jail, the administration filled all the positions and diminished that issue there. But it's leading to a serious morale concerns at Gracedale. And it struck me as unusual that I think it was just yesterday, we received an email from our director of nursing regarding FMLA, IFMLA, and the situation that we've discussed here before. And it seems to me that either the administration hasn't gotten a hold on it, or it's still part of the culture up there that hasn't been addressed. But I think the combination of those concerns that have been addressed to me, as well as that email from the director of nursing, lead me to believe that we need to do a better job of recruiting and hiring because well, what's going on is while the patients may be served, we're overtaxing our employees. And some of them have even said that it's the money, it's not a money issue at this point. It's a quality of life issue. So we're going to have to start filling positions rather quickly, or we're going to lose more good people. So I would hope that's addressed sometime. And I would also note that while we do have a director of nursing, right now there's advertisements for 2 assistant directors. There is a recruitment and retention issue that I think needs to be addressed. And I wanted to bring it up because I think that this is the appropriate committee. Thank you.
Thank you.
If anyone else wants to speak at courtesy of the floor, please raise your hand, or if you're on the phone, press *9.
You have a hand up.
There's a hand up.
Mr. McClure.
Mr. McClure?
Good evening. The comments from Mr. Cusick are interesting. There's somebody who's been with the county for 3 decades, sometimes talks about how it is the worst morale at Gracedale this year, and it's been every year in the last 30 years. The fact of the matter is, we are taking all of the necessary proactive steps to fill the vacant positions that need to be filled at Gracedale. I'll give you some facts that may be interesting. In the most recent CMS report, we have a 3-star rating for RN staffing. We have a 3-star rating for staffing at Gracedale in our most recent CMS report. So that's just one piece of evidence that probably goes to refute the anecdotal report you make here tonight. Additionally, there are so many different things going on at Gracedale designed to get more folks in there that we have reported to you, to County Council. We have demonstrated to you, and we've given this report. So there's that. And finally, the DOH, the Department of Health, is at Gracedale approximately once a week on a complaint of short staffing. And these complaints are always unsubstantiated.
Any comments or questions? Mr. Myers?
Just a question. Is mandation a problem that we're not hearing about clearly, or is it, or are we just hearing grumblings from the staff?
Mr. McClure, could you speak to that, please?
Yes, so mandating folks to stay when you have a number of call-offs has always been controversial at Gracedale. That's not a question. And you can see that mandation through the years has been pretty level at Gracedale. But the bottom line is, when you have approximately 30 to 40% of your staff using IFMLA or FMLA at any given time, you're going to have to keep people over in order to have a 2.7 or better PPD for the day. And that is because of resident safety. And again, I will reiterate, the DOH is in Gracedale approximately once a week on a complaint, anonymous complaint about staffing, and they are always found to be unsubstantiated. So there is a disconnect. We do acknowledge we need to have more folks there. With respect to Mr. Cusick's earlier point about FMLA, IFMLA, we've taken extraordinary efforts in order to try and reduce that. Unfortunately, the law is very clear. You cannot take any action that would discourage an employee from utilizing FMLA or IFMLA. It's in the statute. So it's a very difficult position we find ourselves in. But again, 3-star RN staffing rating, 3-star staffing rating, and unsubstantiated lack of staffing complaints from the Department of Health. The facts speak for themselves.
What, just the follow-up question then. What is our number of employees at Gracedale, and what is our comfort level with the number of employees at Gracedale?
Well, at any given time, we're probably running at about 650 employees. The census today is 527.
Okay. That answers the question. Okay.
Ms. Zirinsky?
So I just have a question about, is Gracedale utilizing agency nurses to accommodate the staffing needs? And if so, this should resolve mandation, I believe.
Yes, we rely on agency nursing heavily, Ms. Zirinsky. We're actually, because the employees, through their collective bargaining agents, ask us to reduce reliance on outside agency staffing, because the AFSCME and steelworker bargaining units want us to rely on county employees to work the shifts and not agency. So there's a constant tension there. We're trying to actually get them to use less agency to benefit our employees. So there's that constant balancing there that needs to go on.
Sure, but when there's a need, and especially during this crisis, and we want to make sure that patients are taken care of, if we don't have enough nurses, the agency nurses can fill that gap, even though we do want to hire people. I know that we've used incentives to hire people as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, throughout the pandemic, one of the issues that we've had, agencies that we have contracts with are unable to fulfill their contractual obligations to Gracedale because these agencies service many other facilities. Throughout the nursing, let's call it the long-term care facility industry, if you will. I mean, we're not an industry. It's our moral obligation to care for people at Gracedale, but I'll use industry as a catch-all phrase. No one can hire anyone. No one can hire any CNAs. No one can hire any LPNs. We're about to interview traveling foreign RNs to come and work at Gracedale. That's how seriously we take resident safety and care at Gracedale. And I wasn't going to do this tonight, but it's a great time since we were using the personnel committee to talk about the importance of Gracedale, and I'm glad we had the opportunity. We are about to start offering monoclonal antibody therapy to Gracedale residents. I think we have 5 residents who are about to receive it while they're at Gracedale, so they don't have to go to the hospital. As you know, monoclonal antibody therapy has been very efficacious in the hospital at treating people with severe COVID-19. So we're very glad. We don't know if any other nursing homes are offering monoclonal antibody. That's the 3rd time I said that. Therapy in their nursing homes. So we're really gratified to be able to announce that today.
Great. Thank you for answering my questions. I really
Sure.
appreciate it.
Mr. Lott?
Yes, I'm not on the committee, but I, my time on council, I just want to commend the administration. I've watched us try. It's extremely difficult to hire people right now. I mean, everybody's out there trying to hire people. For whatever reason, nurses are RNs are extremely difficult. I know we've made a real effort on this council. We gave incentives to other employees to bring people in. That was something the council passed, that monetary incentive to co-workers to try to bring people in. I've never seen ads for people looking for employees at Gracedale like I've seen when I watch the news in the morning. So I commend you guys. It's extremely difficult to hire people right now, and and the efforts being put out there. I believe, if I'm incorrect, we got a report. We did hire 17 people last month. Was that a correct statement?
Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, I disagree, respectfully disagree. I think we've been making a lot of effort to people. It's difficult, and anybody in the field should understand how difficult. And we don't have the resources like Lehigh Valley Hospital or St. Luke's Hospital to compete. So we're kind of at a disadvantage, so we got to get creative. And I commend you for being creative with your advertising and, the public. Thank you. That's all I wanted to say.
And Mr. Lott, to just reflect on your point there, we're working with our unions there to make a difference. And recently we've agreed through a memorandum of understanding to extend health insurance benefits to part-time people as long as they're working 30 hours. This was a barrier to folks coming to work at Gracedale as we were trying to recruit them. So we've resolved that. We are also working with AFSCME and the steelworkers to go to 12-hour shifts on the weekends. So for folks who want to work on the weekends and work 4 days a week as opposed to the whole week, we can get those critical weekend shifts covered. We're also talking with them. We're in the initial stages of talking with them about offering both sign-on bonuses for CNAs, LPNs, and RNs as well. So we're not there yet with that, but we're working on it. We're taking all of these actions in order to try and recruit. And as you noted, we're also advertising. I don't know that there's anything else we could do to get people in there that we're not doing.
Mr. McGee?
Following up on Mr. Cusick's comment, which I think is, I'm glad he brought it up actually, because it does need to be talked about. But I just want to make a comment while we're talking about it. The folks that do go to work and cover these shifts, I think, again, kudos to them. Thank God that they're doing their job and going to work. The others, well, I'm sure there's legitimate reasons why they're not there. If they're not there, I hope that's the case. And, if not, I hope, they see the light or whatever. But yeah, I just want to give the kudos to the folks that, and I'm sure it's a heavy lift for the ones that are picking up the extra shifts, and my heart goes out to them. And we really, with the pandemic and how important it is for them to be there. That's all.
Mr. Cusick?
Just a final comment. I want to thank Mr. McClure. I understand. I've been here a long time as well. But I agree. We are meeting the requirements, but the concern that I heard, it is through the excessive use of mandation was how it was brought to my attention. And I hope that we're doing as much as possible to reduce mandation, because it is taking a toll on the employees who do show up and do their job every day, when some of their co-workers are utilizing FMLA and IFMLA. While it may be the law, we don't see the same thing at the jail and the 911 center. So I think there is perhaps a cultural issue up there that needs to be addressed.
Mr. Cusick, I absolutely agree with you about mandation, every word you just said. And that's why I'm proud to announce that we have mandated less than Premier did when it was managing Gracedale. So we have made, despite a 100-year global pandemic, we have made progress with mandation.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, let's move on to the agenda items. Review of county executive appointments, reappointments. First, for the Children and Youth Families Advisory Board, term to expire 3/22/23. There are 3 folks: Michelle Hanna, 90 North Main Street, Bangor, PA; Rosemary Coker, 287 Blenheim Drive, Easton, PA; and Jan Marie Schwartz, 909 Red Maple Lane in Easton, PA. And one, oh no, let's just do those first. We'll do, because there's several reappointments. Could I have a motion to move those forward, or any comments
I
or
make a motion.
questions?
I'll motion. Mr. Myers.
Okay, thank you. Do I need a second?
I'll second if you need it.
I do. I'm the only, that's just 2 of you guys.
Okay,
Thank you.
please.
Motion then second to move forward. Reappointments to the same board would be Teresa Terry Maynard, 1150 Dota Drive in Penargil; Jeffrey M. Warren, 1159 Blair Road, Bethlehem. And that term is to expire 2/21/23. And Ms. Patricia Hunter, 200 North 11th Street, Apartment 2, Easton; and Terry A. Thomas, 1655 Willow Drive, Easton. Their term to expire 3/22/23.
Motion.
Comments or motion to move forward?
Motion.
Second,
Thank you. So moved and seconded. Housing Authority appointment, term to expire 2/9/26. Appointment Gail Chivaroli, 231 South Whitfield Street, Nazareth, PA. Comments or motion to move forward?
motion,
Second.
Thank you. Personnel Commission appointment, Cindy L. Fairbanks, 1020 Hillside Ave, Easton, term to expire 12/31/21.
I got a question on that. Is that the correct expiration date? Because has she been on, or is this just not typed correctly? Because everybody else seems to be longer. Is this a refill?
I'm not sure. Mr. McClure?
It's a board that is under a state statute, so they're 5-year terms.
But he's saying that it's
I'm
only for
asking
this
for-
year.
Yeah, Debbie's being reappointed. Is that what you're talking about? So
Yeah.
Steve.
Cindy Fairbanks.
Okay.
It expires at the end of this year. That's why I'm asking. Everybody else's is longer.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out because that's a new appointment.
That's why I'm asking.
We'll have that straightened. We'll have an answer for you by tomorrow night. I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Okay. With
Okay,
that said,
Thank
I'll
you
make
for
a
pointing that out.
Yep. With that, I'll make a motion.
thank you.
second,
Thank you. And the Workforce Board, Lehigh Valley, 2 reappointments, Stephen Patterson, 155 Fox Road, Easton, PA; and Debbie Rice, 527 East Laurel Street, Bethlehem, PA, term to expire 6/30/23.
Motion.
second,
Thank you. All to be moved forward to tomorrow evening. Thank you for that. And let's see. Next, we have a resolution for a position. Northampton County Council, one full-time position of elections technician, pay grade RU 16-2B, salary $36,619, upgraded to one position. Pay grade RU 19-2B, $38,500 in the Department of Administration, conduct of elections.
Can I ask a question about this?
Yes, please.
To Mr. McClure, if our election officer happens to be there. Mr. McClure,
Is Amy there? Or is Mr. McClure going to answer?
I'm here.
Amy, okay, I got a question for this. Is this part of the budget that you had for the year, or is this in addition to? It's Mr. Myers.
It's budgeted.
She got cut off. I didn't hear it.
It is budgeted.
Okay, so we're just flipping a position one for another. Is that what you're telling me?
It looks like it's a step upgrade. Is that correct?
That's-
Yeah, it's an upgraded position to an already existing position.
So we're just moving somebody up a step.
Correct.
Okay, that answers my question.
Are there, Ms. Cozy? I'm sorry, I'm looking at the pages here. Is there a specific task that they're being upgraded for?
It's the new title is elections technology specialist. So it's actually, we're upgrading two of the existing election tech positions. It's just slightly more advanced work.
Oh, I'm sorry, I only read the first one. I apologize. So both of them, and there's one that's being eliminated and a full-time position of elections technology specialist, and the other one's a technician. I see. So there's two separate positions.
Yeah,
The old position is the technician, the new position is the technology specialist.
so it's an RU 19-1A that's being updated.
Yes. And there's an existing staff member whose position is being upgraded to the technology specialist.
Okay. Are you going to be asking for more help in the future?
That I don't know at this time.
Is it, you're not looking at it? It's not a plan of yours at all?
Not at this time.
I know, because there were some questions at the last meeting we had about maybe getting more staff. Okay.
Any other questions regarding this position or these positions?
No, I'm
Motion to move forward?
motion. Bill,
Second.
second.
Okay, thank you. Moving forward to tomorrow evening, that adjourns the Personnel Committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Can everybody hear me okay? I'm checking my mic out.
You're great on my end, Billy.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to start the Finance Committee meeting tonight, February 17th. And we have courtesy of the floor now. Does anybody have anything for
Please
courtesy
raise
of the
your
floor?
hand or press *9 on the phone. Seeing none.
Okay, hearing none. We have, we're going to start out with the controller's report. I see the controller is on the Zoom call. Or possibly in the audience at the county executive.
Okay.
Hi.
Good afternoon, everybody.
I don't.
Good afternoon.
See,
Okay,
you have
from
the
the-
Sands Wind Creek final report and the Sun Inn.
Yes, from the controllers From the Controller's Department, you received 3 reports. The first one is from the Sands Wind Creek. The second report is the follow-up on the Civil Sheriff Agency Fund. And the third one is for the Chelsea Sun Inn. Mr. Sabino is along with me attending this meeting. He will update you on the final report for the Chelsea Sun Inn. In regard to the the Sands Wind Creek, we did 2 procedures. The first procedures, we took the January 19 up to May 19, these 5 months. As you see in the report, monthly average was 25,106. And we did check, to see there, and we calculated the average for 2019 hotel owned by Sands Bethlehem. For the second procedures, what we did is we took the other 7 months, which is from June 19 up to December 19, and monthly average was 24,108. The first 5 months, the other ones, they were average month of 25,106. So at this end, the difference is it was like a 3.98%. So there is no further investigation really was deemed necessary. And then we did examine the structure of the rules related to the hotel room rental tax to determine if there is any specific areas of revenues that can be increased. And because, since it is a flat rate of 4% on the room revenue, I think is the most important. We determined that the only way to increase our county revenue should be increased by occupancy. So the more we have people utilizing the room, the more we're going to see tax revenue coming to the county. Again, this report is only intended solely for the information and use of management for the county. Any question on this?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So with your comment about the casino collecting tax on rooms paid for with player points, do those fees then get captured and paid to the county, or we're not sure? It sounds like it should be, but because they're not true comp rooms, you say.
Well, if we noted, although the complimentary rooms are not taxable under state laws.
Tony, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, so
Yes,
go ahead,
sir.
Tony.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if I would, this is an odd situation, and that is something that we discovered through our audits, in that the casinos in the state of Pennsylvania, at least 2 of them that I'm aware of, ours and one, I believe in Monroe County, they do pay us points, pay us on comp rooms if they're paid with player points. We do verify that revenue every time we do our audits, and in fact, we did a full audit of the casino this year, and we verified that. So, in answer to your question, Ms. Vargo Hefner, yes, indeed, they do pay that to the county, and yes, indeed, we do include that in our analysis when we do our regular audits of the hotel tax.
Thank you.
It is unique because the law does state that complimentary rooms are exempt, but in this case, since so many rooms, I believe, are comped at casinos, sort of a hybrid situation has evolved so that we would get what we would consider to be fair revenue.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions on the casino? Move on. We do have a audit follow-up on the Civil and Sheriff Agency Fund audit. So what the recommendation was that they will create a spreadsheet, and that's Excel spreadsheet has been created.
This is on the
And
Sun
for-
Inn? Excuse me, is this on the Sun Inn?
No, I'm speaking regarding the follow-up on the Civil and Sheriff Agency
Oh,
Fund.
okay, that's number C, letter C. Okay, all right.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
That's okay.
So
I didn't know if
Yeah,
this.
Tony, I think you
were in the
skipped
same
around.
order. 'Cause if you
I'm
go
sorry?
back-
I think you skipped around, but that's all right.
I'm
Okay,
very
good
sorry.
enough.
I do
Okay,
apologize.
we'll move to C. I'm fine with that. I
I
didn't want
do
the
apologize.
document that it's up on the screen to be off.
No,
the wrong
because
way.
the reason I said that, Bill, is I said that I will do these 2 reports and then
I will move to Mr. Sabino to update you on the shelf.
Oh, I apologize. Okay.
That's what I said in the beginning. That's okay. So, so an Excel spreadsheet has been created for the replenishment of the quarterback for the copy machine funds, and the corrective action has been taken. We did, for our recommendation, we did recommend the division solicitor and the director of court services to create a written policy regarding the disposition. So a copy of the audit has been sent to the solicitor, but the meeting has not yet been held. So
If I could, Tony, what we're talking about there is the second, I think you're talking about the second recommendation that's not really related to the copy machine funds. There's some funds that they have on hand that are, they're sort of stale. They're holding on to them. They don't know what to do with them. And our audit decided that there was time to do something about those. And
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, they can't without the input of the solicitor. So the solicitor is, so what we're saying there is they're still working with the solicitor to get a corrective action taken on that. So we will follow up on this one more time. But the other comment is followed up on, and that one's a closed case. So this is the last open item, and we'll visit that again in 6 months.
Anything else? Any question for me before I will let Mr. Sabino give you the final report on the Chelsea Hotel?
Mr. McGee?
Go ahead.
So my question is, where are we going with this report then? Is this more or less tabled till you get back to us?
You talked about the follow-up on the civil sheriff.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we did the audit a couple of years ago, and what we do is we follow up on findings every 6 months for 3 cycles, and I think we're on the second cycle in this one. So in this case, we did the follow-up. The follow-up had the recommendation implemented on one, but had not yet had the recommendation implemented on the other one. And we will do another follow-up in 6 months, and you'll see another memo similar to this one in 6 months. And hopefully by then that will be a resolved situation, and then we'll close this audit altogether.
Okay. Sorry, Bill. That's it. Thanks.
Oh, that's okay. Any other questions before they move on to the third report? Okay.
Okay,
Mr. Sabino.
Okay, thank you. The Chelsea Sun was an odd situation I wanted to address because this was a situation that actually Steve Barron had asked us to get involved with early, even before the pandemic, that they were not remitting sending the remittances on a timely basis. They were threatening them with the solicitor. So we agreed to move them up and do them this year. And we had a number of difficulties with regard to that. They never really gave us all of the revenue support that we asked for. They have not contacted us since at least October of this year. So they have not contacted us with regard to the draft nor the final of this report. The number that we have there that we say they owe is based on revenue that they supplied us, but we believe it probably includes some wedding revenue that probably is not taxable, but because that's the revenue they gave us, that's what we had to go with. And they didn't give us any support for December 2019. And under the law, when that happens, we are to assume full occupancy. So you're seeing that in there. So our conclusion there is that we have a number, but we are telling him to call the solicitor's office, and if you can give us better numbers and better revenue, we can do something for that. But we're not hearing from them, and we're not hearing from his accountant or the proprietor. So this is the report that we were able to issue, and it was based on the best information we had at the time. And so I wanted to pass that on. It's not a typical situation with the hotel audits.
Interesting. All right.
So this only goes up to 2019, sir?
Yes, we do them in 2-year rotations. So this is a 2018, 2019 audit. That's the cycle we were doing at the time last year during 2020.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we do them as on a 2-year basis. That's the way we handle all of them.
So am I reading this correct? This is what they owe us?
Well, that's what we have. Yes, I would have to say that's what they owe us currently. But as I said, our analysis of it is based on information that we are pretty sure was incorrect. So our number is probably high. It isn't low, but it's high. And if he gives us better revenue dollars or revenue information, we can do a better analysis. But again, as I said, he hasn't contacted us in over 4 months. So I'm not sure. So we're telling him at this point, he needs to contact the solicitor and talk about it. Again, this predates the pandemic. This issue and this situation, I don't think is necessarily related to the pandemic. It may have been made worse by the pandemic, but this was something that Steve asked us to do back in January of last year before anything occurred. They were already having difficulties with their remittances from the Chelsea Sun Inn.
Okay, how much time are we going to allow before we demand the reimbursement?
Well, that is a question for the administration and the fiscal affairs department and the solicitor. We just do the audits, and we don't collect that money. We just do the analysis of the revenue and tell both revenue and the proprietor how much they owe. So you would have to probably ask Steve what their intent is on that, and it says as actually the solicitor, because I believe that they were considering legal action before they even called us in back in January of last year. So, like I said, they did ask us to do the audit, and then they're going to take whatever action they take. But I'm not sure what that is.
So they're aware of it, the problem here that we're looking at.
Oh yes, they've all been CC'd on this report.
And it's okay, great.
Yeah.
Mr. McGee, if I can add, this is under review with the solicitor's office. I have talked to this proprietor previously. County council did approve a small business grant to them. However, that money was used to pay their property taxes because they were behind on their property taxes for a much longer period of time. So there are other things that have been going on, but I've been in communication with this business, as well as Nancy Poplowski, who is the revenue manager, has also been in contact with them, and we've worked with them on a lot of different issues. The reason I asked Mr. Sabino to get involved and look at them specifically is because this issue existed before the pandemic.
What's your follow-up going to be with this, Steve?
Well, right now the solicitor is going to review it, and then we will work with the business, and we'll get back to you when we have a resolve with them and something worked out with them.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much for listening to us.
Thank you very much for conducting these.
Okay,
Have a good evening.
you too, thank you. Next, we're going to move on to number 3, business item number 3. A review of the 2021 contingency account transfer to purchase licenses for Adobe Acrobat Pro. I don't know if,
Do you want me to speak to this and then Aileen can jump in if she needs to?
sure. Yeah, I know it has to do with the information we received from the clerk.
Right. Last year we bought an Adobe Acrobat license, but apparently they're specific to computer. So it's only on Aileen's, and for all the staff to use it in the same way, we need to purchase it for the other remaining staff. So that's what this is for.
If I can quickly comment, I believe this is extremely helpful. I think the last packet we got had 99 pages in it. And this gives us the ability on the front page to be able to hit a hyperlink, and it takes you right to the page you need to be at. Very helpful. Anyway, so looking for a motion to move.
Motion.
Okay, so moved.
Second. You need a
Sure,
second.
if you'd like to second it, that would be fine. Thank you. Next order of business, was there any discussion on that? I apologize. I only made a
No, only if
comment.
Aileen
Okay.
needed to chip in and say more about it, but I think I covered it.
Okay, I apologize for running through that. Number 4 is a discussion regarding Article 13 contracts. The first one up is Myco Mechanical. And
Bill, these are all change orders for the forensic center, correct?
yes, that's what I'm understanding, correct.
Is that right, Mr. Dertinger?
They are indeed.
Okay, I'm glad they came to you, Bill.
Okay. Mr. Dertinger, would you just give an overview of
Surely.
The first one? I think they're all very similar, but within different scope.
Most certainly. They are actually, there is a very large overview to take here. These are our closeouts. We are finally finished with negotiating and settling out the change order requests that the contractors have made throughout this project. To put this into the proper context, initially, before any negotiations or discussions had taken place, we were facing $1,553,128 worth of change order requests. Upon review and negotiations and settling these, we will only be paying in total, this including what was the June adjustment and here now, $949,278. Difference of $603,000 from what was originally being requested and asked for. Initially, when we talked about a lot of these change orders, we were facing that DEP situation that caused us to move 16,000 tons of dirt, which it seems like I never get tired of talking about, the 16,000 tons of dirt. To move that in and out, we were looking at an expense of nearly $700,000 through a lot of good planning, working with our contractors there and working with the DEP to try and find other solutions. The total for that turned out to be just $527,000. Now that was just to deal with the extra water that they were intending or imagining would be there, and at one point turning the detention pond from a sediment retention basin to a detention pond. And rather than moving out so much of that dirt, we left it behind. We have a very large detention pond there at present. In the overall, we have this project when we first considered it and when we put the bond together, we budgeted $11 million to build this facility. When we sat down with Skanska and with our engineers, everyone provided us some level of their construction budget for it. Those numbers went between 12 million and 10.6 million. We received our bids when everything was said and done. We were looking at $10.6 million would be our construction cost. Again, in looking at what we could do to build the project more efficiently, and quite frankly, even during a pandemic, our final number for this project will come in at $10,097,137. Well below what we had anticipated. These change orders that you have in front of you today are the ones that we settled out, and they reflect $257,000, 200, give or take a dollar or two here. So if you have any questions for any of these in particular, I would tell you that notwithstanding the DEP question here, our change orders on this project were kept to under 5%.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on this first contract here with Myco Mechanical? Okay, can we move on to the next one, please?
Motion to move that one.
Motion to move. Okay, thank you. So moved.
I think we have next.
Are we at the right spot here?
Next one,
Okay, can you go up a little bit? Okay, here it is. Okay, whereas August 1st. Okay.
Next one,
Any
yep.
questions on the Wind Gap Electric? Extra of $62,030.19 is really what we're talking about. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And I, from talking to you about this, I understand, and reading it, I understand these were necessary, because, you know.
Yeah, the vast majority of the cost here was related to the need for a fire suppression sprinkler pump at the facility, and that provided changes that needed to be made for both our generator so that there was always protection for the sprinkler pump, as well as the additional switchgear required and controls for that same pump.
And that was not in the first bid, correct?
Initially, they were hoping, which is very frustrating on our side. They were hoping that the water that we got from both the Nazareth water as well as what was coming from Gracedale would be sufficient, but the pressure was not appropriate, and the calculations showed that it wouldn't be sustainable. So this pump was necessary to be added to the project.
Questions, comments?
Motion to move forward if there are no questions.
well, can I ask a question to Charles?
Please,
Is
please, at the time.
How long is the warranty on this pump? Charles,
A 1-year warranty on construction.
Yeah, I was going to say, but generally this would be a 1-year warranty on this, except for those elements that have additional warranted periods. In case of, as an example, the fire suppression pump, that will be both maintained and operated regularly to make sure that everything is appropriate and in working order at all times. It's not something we want to wait to see if it works when it's necessary.
and is that part of a contract to have that done?
Yes.
And who's contracting that? Who do we have to do on that?
That Simplex Grinnell will be coming out for to make certain that that's fully operational, and I believe that is quarterly.
Yeah, I've dealt with them before. Good, thanks.
Does anybody else have any more to add or comment or question on the Wind Gap Electric contract for $62,030.19? Okay, we got a motion to move. So moved, and move it to full council. Next one is JBM Mechanical. Letter C. Additional amount of $15,689.57. Additional HVAC services. And can you give us a quick overview of that?
Yeah, one of the things that we did not have in the contract when we started out this project was the CAT scan room. We didn't have the information, and as much as it sounds ridiculous, we needed a nuclear scientist to provide us the clearance areas that we would need for a CAT scan and a portable X-ray machine. So that room was completely not in the contract when we put this out for bid, waiting so that we didn't want to hold the whole project up while we were waiting for that information. So we just kept that not in contract. And one of the things that was necessary for that area was simply additional air conditioning. And there were two elements that we needed to address with the dampers for the fresh air exchange that had fallen between two different contractors, but neither one of them had it in their bids. So it needed to be addressed, and that's what reflects this number here.
Thank you. Questions or concerns?
Motion.
Okay, hearing none, and a motion to move, so moved. Will be discussed in front of full council for a vote tomorrow. Next, moving on to Sordoni Construction Services. Increase the amount by $162,149.63. Can we have a brief overview of what this consists of?
The biggest bite of that is the $150,000 for the soils that we did have to remove from the project that were both leftover, and were parts of the retention pond that we needed to move out. We were able to avoid moving about 60% of the soils, but some of it still needed to be removed from the site. And that came at a cost of $150,000.
Okay, I think we talked about that a couple of times. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about this amount? Question, Mr. Cusick.
Yeah, just real quickly, what's the final disposition of that giant dirt pile that was there? Has that been
all gone?
Or
We were able to spread some of it on site, but the vast majority of it had to be trucked off, and that's what cost us the $150,000.
all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I get a motion to move?
So moved,
Okay,
as was the dirt.
okay.
You hurt me, Councilwoman.
And the last one is the Wind Gap Electric. For $8,634.63. A brief overview, please.
This reflects the need for a installation of a low voltage duress system. If given the size of the facility and the number of people that we have there, and that is to say that we don't have quite as many people there at all times, should someone have an accident or an emergency in either one of the autopsy spaces, that is, that they get exposed, that they have a chemical injury, or they simply have a medical injury, there are now there's a duress system that allows them to alert everyone else in the facility that there is a concern and a need to get there. As you walk through the facility, I don't know if anyone took notice, but there are 3 different colored strobe light systems in there, so that if you see a blue light, there's a necessity to go to the decomp. If there's a red light, people are to be called up to the front desk if there's a problem or a concern there. And the yellow light is the normal autopsy space.
Thank you very much. Questions or concerns? Lori?
No, I mean, I
saw your
guess,
hand. I apologize.
no, I was pressing something. I just didn't know why it
It's
was 2
left in the top
separate,
They
contracts.
Wind Gap had 3 separate contracts here. They had a low voltage contract, they had the electrical or high voltage contract, and they had the solar contract.
Can I answer that question?
Very happily, there was no change orders for the solar.
Okay.
Motion to move? Any other questions? Motion to move?
Motion.
Motion, thank you. So moved. Any other business for the Finance Committee?
Just one question.
If
Mr.
you,
Myers.
I'm sorry, could you just hold one moment there?
Yes.
Hi. So as you know, council authorized the CMed program in order to assist those folks who are about to face and are facing the eviction crisis, along with the crisis in their inability to pay their utility bills. What we've received, as we reported, the $9.1 million from the Treasury Department. I think council is going to have a public hearing on that. We have DCED here to explain how the framework that you have already passed is going to be filled in. I don't know if you want to wait to hear from them at the public hearing or if you want to hear from them now about how that framework is going to be filled in.
If they're here and they want to give us a brief overview, that's fine.
They are.
Please.
Okay. Thank you.
You're on.
Hello.
Hello.
So I know I came to speak about the CMed program once before. So we are continuing to provide rental assistance dating back to March 2020. We are going to be providing up to 12 months of rental assistance, and then we'll look at requests for additional assistance on a 3-month basis. Applicants must still provide documentation of income affected by COVID. As the county executive mentioned, we recently received approximately $9.1 million from the U.S. Treasury, and that funding will also go towards rental assistance. And with this funding, we can provide up to 3 months of future rental assistance as well. And what's beneficial about our program is we can provide direct payments right to the landlords to kind of expedite their payments. We are continuing to use the service agencies that we mentioned before that continue to partner with the county to supply tenant navigation services. And they are doing an excellent job managing this program for us. And again, those are Third Street Alliance for Women and Children, New Bethany Ministries, Project of Easton, and then Easton Neighborhood Center. We also have a program working with the Community Action Committee of the Lehigh Valley and North Penn Legal Services to assist homeowners facing foreclosure. And our tenant navigators can refer homeowners to that program as well. Additionally, we are able to provide rental assistance. We have funding for in addition to the rental assistance, we have funding to provide utility assistance to individuals as well. We know right now the utility companies are not providing shutoff notices. So if a family has a need for a bill to be paid, as long as they fall within the income guidelines, we can definitely assist payment to those families. So I can give you just a brief update on the CMed stats as I gave last time. I just have an abbreviated version this time. So far, since we started this program, we've received 503 applications for rental assistance. Some of those are duplicatives, but some of those are also applications where there's 2 individuals listed on the application. And those rental assistance applications thus far have totaled a little over $1.7 million. And then we have received 51 applications for utility assistance, and those have totaled just a little over $62,000. So we're really excited for this program. It's helping out not only the tenants of Northampton County, but also the landlords as well. So we are very proud of our program and that we can keep it going.
One question before, real quick, I'll go and then I'll let everybody. Can you just give us your name for the record?
Sure. It's Robin Barbosa. I'm the Deputy Director of Human Services over at Northampton County.
Okay. And then the second thing is, can you give us a little brief? Is there any outreach? Is it those places that you mentioned that's doing the outreach?
Yeah, so the tenant navigators, they do an assessment when the individuals come to them. So in this assessment, it will also kind of determine if they also need some community support as well. And a lot of our tenant navigators can manage that, or they can even refer to the Department of Human Services. If there's a program that we have that can benefit those individuals, we can make referrals to them as well.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. Inskeep?
Yeah, I just wanted you to clarify, the $1.7 million, was that what you gave out,
Yes.
the total? And that was for rental assistance. Did that include like mortgage, any mortgage assistance at all, just rentals?
I will have to get clarification on that one. But I
Okay.
believe it was just rentals.
Okay, so is there a separate process for mortgage assistance? Because I know there's people in their homes who are also in need of assistance as well. And
There
so
is.
is there an alternative path, and how many applications do you have for that? What's been the outcome of that program?
Talk about that one. Hold on for 1 second.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Frank.
Cool.
Good evening, council members. Frank Brooks, I'm the administrator for DCED. Hi. On the subject of homeowners, there's a moratorium out right now to the end of June. We've got a plan in place with our partners, CACLV and North Penn, to handle the homeowners. And most likely it'll be mortgage companies will be providing an attorney, and we'll have legal representative for our homeowners. And it looks like a lot of bulk payments, lump sums on this. Right now, we've only handled a few homeowners, but after June, we feel we'll be very, very busy for this.
Okay, so it's, if my understanding is correct, there's a moratorium till June, so people will they have to pay the back mortgage, or that's what they'd come to you for? If they have multiple mortgage payments that they were unable to make, would they be able to come to you in June for assistance?
Yes, and there'll have to be an agreement between the parties. You know, there'll be a legal representative from all the banks involved, and then we'll have our legal representative and our financial people and work out the solution.
Okay, and what's the total budget of this assistance program?
The total budget right now is about $12 million, including all the additional ESG monies that we received.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate you answering.
You're certainly welcome.
But a follow-up question on that. Why are we waiting to June? Can it get started ahead of time?
Most of these are court related approvals. And once the court opens up and after June, then you'll see all the homeowners come trickling in.
Okay, that answers the question. Thank you.
Mr. Kusick?
That's really big.
Yeah, thank you. One follow-up with regard to the income guidelines. Could you provide us some sense with what those numbers are and what the scale would be?
Yes, we like to address low to moderate income level residents, but the legislation actually says that we can actually look at higher income individuals also. So we like to balance it out. If we have a lot of higher income folks that we need to address with assistance, we like to balance it out with low to moderate income level folks. But our focus is low to moderate. But we're certainly not going to let any one of our residents become homeless because of income, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm a numbers guy. Can you tell me what exactly qualifies you as low, moderate, or high income?
I can provide all that documentation, what we use from the HUD income level guidelines. I'll send that out to you if you like.
You guys are going to present too, right? Next Economic Development Committee meeting?
We'd like to, sure.
I mean, is that what the executive said? Were we just getting a brief synopsis tonight, right? There was going to be more to come. Is that correct?
It's on the agenda.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. For some reason, I can't hear anybody. I don't know why.
Because we're quiet.
Now I can. Okay. All right. Is there any other questions for the for this presentation of the REN assistant program? Okay. Thank you very much, Frank. I appreciate your time. And is there anything else for the Finance Committee?
Mr. McKee, I just need Ms. Zembo to make an announcement at the end regarding tomorrow night in case of inclement weather. but it does not have to do with finance specifically.
Well, now's it. Want me to adjourn the meeting and then do it, or
No, just
do it now?
so y'all know what can happen tomorrow. Linda?
Okay, what was decided, if it's inclement weather and the government center is closed, Aileen and I will be running the Zoom meeting from our homes. So there will still be meetings. So, and the first meeting will start at 3:30 and then there'll be a council meeting at 6:30. And unless there's electrical problems, it will go on.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Any other? Okay. Hearing that, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Adjourn.